Hi, everybody. We're just waiting to be joined by Oriane. Please send a thumbs up if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Great. We're just waiting for Oriane to join us. Perfect. Can you hear me? Oh, wonderful.
Yes,
Wonderful.
perfect.
Just
We're
in
on.
time. Hold on a sec. Can you still hear me? Excellent. Great. Great. So we can start. Hi, everybody. This is Harriet from Harriet's Botanicals, and we're pleased to welcome you to yet another live. We promise to give you amazing content from amazing people doing amazing work. And today we have with us Oriane Torode. She will let me know if that's the correct spelling for her name or the correct pronunciation rather. And we want to look at an anti-inflammatory diet and lifestyle for hormonal balance. You know, at Harriet's Botanicals, we care about your wellness, and we have delved deeply into hormonal issues for both men and women. Oriane is a functional and nutritional lifestyle and wellness coach and consultant. She has done a lot of work in the area of functional medicine. Functional medicine kind of is more holistic and broad in its approach, in that it also looks at your nutrition, your lifestyle, your environment, everything that is going on around you to contribute to a better lifestyle or a better outcome for you. Oriane has done lots of work to support people in hormonal balance, prostate issues, metabolic issues, cancer support, insomnia, digestive support, addiction issues. So I would definitely recommend that you take some of that information that we've put in this post and have a look at it. And Oriane will share, and we will continue to share how you can actually connect with her for further work. But without further ado, I'd like to Oriane, please tell us a little bit more about yourself and your work, and then we can talk about some of the things I've mentioned.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you, Harriet. Thank you for the great introduction. Hello, everyone. I know some of you. Thank you for joining, everyone. So I'm Oriane, yes, Torode, and I practice functional medicine, and I coach on health, very diverse health support. And we often work with symptoms and with health history. It's not like going to see a doctor where you say, I have a headache, and you get a pill and the headache goes. But basically what we say in functional medicine is when you take a medicine to stop the pain of the headache, it's like killing the weakness, but you're actually not addressing the cause. You're actually not going to the root. So killing the weakness is not sorting the issue. So in functional medicine, functional health coaching, we need to have some sort of health history to know when you were born, where you were born, if you've had these symptoms for a long time, if the headache is recurrent, when it's coming, and then we think, why is it happening? And then, of course, it takes a little bit longer. We have some rapid relief to help things very quickly, but we don't give magic pills. We work with supplements that help your body to function better. And that's why we call it functional coaching, functional medicine, because it's to help your functionalities, to help you function well, not stopping everything, blocking everything, because you'll find very quickly, I'm sure you all found out, that if you take medicine all the time to help an issue, it just gets worse unless you make the effort, you work on your nutrition, on your exercise. It doesn't mean running every day, it doesn't mean exercising very hard. And sorry, unless you work on your sleep, on your hydration. So we have some pillars of health that we work
Oh,
on
excellent.
first.
So when we, what I think what everybody really wants to to know, I mean, maybe we can talk a bit about hormonal imbalance. We can talk a bit about women and maybe mention what's happening with men as well. But what is hormonal imbalance and what causes hormonal imbalance from a functional medicine perspective?
Okay, thank you. Very good question. So yeah, functional imbalance, it can happen. There are some very similar one at puberty and at perimenopause. That's for women, when the hormones themselves are imbalanced. One goes up, one goes low. So we realize we have some time in our life where we do have imbalances. For men is more from 50, 60 years old, they can have some prostate issue. These are the sex hormone imbalances. So when we say hormonal imbalance, in functional coaching, we said that the hormones are like a dance, and it's like a mix of soup dance. And when one hormone gets disrupted, the other one also gets disrupted. So it's never just one hormone. It's never just estrogen or just progesterone or just androgen or just testosterone or just insulin. There are sex hormones, but there are many other hormones, the ghrelin, the leptin, so many more. So the imbalance is when lifestyle or stress or virus or even a vaccine or maybe a COVID or maybe a lack of sleep or maybe too much exercise or maybe not enough exercise or maybe pesticides in the food you eat are disrupting one or several hormones, and then it's a cascade of hormones. Like thyroid is another hormone, and I'm sure many of you have heard of the thyroid gland, the thyroid hormone. And it's very interesting. We said that the thyroid is like the canary in the gold mine. In the old days, when men were going in the mines, they would always have a canary at the front of the mine, because when they pierce something and when there is some chemicals release, they couldn't smell it, but the canary would die, and then they would know, okay, now there is a problem. So we always look also at thyroid health, and I think we'll talk about it just afterwards with fibroids and things like that. And what I want to say is, like, it can seem very complex, but there are times in the life where we know what to do. We know what at puberty is going wrong. We know why at perimenopause it's the same symptoms. It's more estrogen compared to progesterone. At puberty, the ovaries don't work very well yet. So progesterone, the hormone to help us feel relaxed and sleep well during the cycle, is the one that is made by the ovaries only when they ovulate. At puberty, they don't ovulate well, and at perimenopause and menopause, they start to not work really well. So basically, the symptom would be about the same. It means the progesterone goes down and the estrogen stays higher. It doesn't mean your estrogen goes up, and that's what we call estrogen dominance. It's a dominance. It's not the estrogen going high, it's progesterone going low before the estrogen. And then we have, and we'll give you some tips, we have lots of tips on how to regulate this estrogen, how to clear it, how to remove the waste of used estrogen, and to have enough estrogen, because it's very important to
That's very interesting, because I think a lot of our followers are grappling with what we call estrogen dominance, which actually means less progesterone, not too much estrogen. And we at Harris Botanicals are always trying to educate ourselves and our followers and clients, like, on what it really means to have a lot of estrogen or not to evacuate estrogen. And I know July is Fibroids Awareness Month, and we are spending time more focused on this problem of fibroids. We've noticed it seems to affect women between the age of 36 and 45. Literally 80% of women are now struggling with fibroids. And we don't remember whether in our parents' time or our grandparents' time, this was as endemic as it is now. So I think maybe you can touch on what is actually causing this pandemic, so to speak, and how does it manifest, and what can we do then, as you said, what can we do to change that?
Okay. So for fibroids, endometriosis, cyst, it's kind of similar interlaced systems. And what we have to know, once we have a cyst, once we have endometriosis or fibroids, they themselves produce more estrogen. Estrogen is produced by these cells. Estrogen is also produced by excess body fat. So it's good to have fat, especially at perimenopause, menopause. The body is trying to put on fat to produce estrogen, but a lot of estrogen creates more fat. And if there was one thing to do, it would be to reduce our level of insulin. There is one doctor who said, yes, it's easy. I can make you fat. I can inject you insulin. So insulin is a hormone that helps getting the sugar that is in the blood to get it in the cells, because we thrive with sugar, with glucose. Our brain favors glucose. We can also have energy from lipid. We call that lipolysis. And you get more actually energy from lipid, but that's another complex system. But each time we eat something, even if I eat nuts, our blood sugar level will go up. When I wake up in the morning, I'm active, my blood sugar will go up. But we keep it balanced. When I drink a coffee, it might go up a lot. If I eat a Mars bar, it will go up a lot. The more we have things that stress us, let's say every day I run 20K, and then I cycle 20K, and then I go to work, and then I look after the children, and then I come home and I shop and I cook, then my sugar level in my blood will stay higher and higher and higher and higher. Then the insulin comes in to get the sugar into the cells, because it's very dangerous to keep it in the blood. It creates oxidation and damage, and it goes into the cell. But when we are always stressed, always sick, when we get, COVID, a virus, a parasite, when we work, when we run, when we exercise, when we don't sleep enough, when we dehydrate, especially in Nairobi, high in altitude, dehydration in Nairobi is really endemic. When we push through, when we don't follow our women's cycle, women during the cycle of the moon, sometimes we have to stay home, we get a little bit more tired, we want to relax, but no, we still push through, we think we can do it. Then the blood sugar stays high, and insulin is trying to come in. The key of insulin is releasing, and it goes in the cells, and the cells get bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's how we put on weight, and then it gets stuck. And the fibroids are really an issue of estrogen that is not being cleaned up. So if we adopt a more anti-inflammatory lifestyle, and it's not only the diet is a lot, nutrition is a lot, but it's not only the diet. It's an anti-inflammatory lifestyle. So it doesn't mean I'm sitting, I'm lying down in bed the whole day, but it means if I've been super active the whole day, maybe in the evening I do a lighter exercise routine. Maybe I add some meditation, maybe I do some breathing. I have to learn to lower my blood sugar level naturally with food and with lifestyle. And I learn also to clear excess estrogen. And we have some, when we go to nutrition, we have some very specific on that. Another thing, so for the estrogen, is to check where we get the estrogen from. That might be another talk, I think another time maybe, but where we get the estrogen from pesticides, from animals that have been fed antibiotics and hormones, like, cows, or I know the goats and the sheep are much cleaner meat because they're not injected. Yes, yeah. Chicken are really, they're injected with hormones. If you buy a chicken and from a chicken breast, it goes really small, it means it was injected with hormones. So we advise when we eat meat and even fish, we really try to go for the meat, we really try to go for grass-fed and the one that have not been injected with hormones. So we don't want to get too many hormones from outside. Estrogen is good, but we can get enough naturally. We want to try to eat organic as much as possible, because pesticides are what we call endocrine disruptor. It means they disrupt our hormones because they are hormone mimickers. They mimic many pesticides, especially I'm sure, I think everyone probably heard of the one in the steak, glyphosate. It creates cancer. Why? Because it mimics estrogen, and for the body it's more estrogen. It's a very strong estrogen. It's not a nice one. It's one that we need to clear. So on one side, we try to minimize the level of estrogen we get from the outside, from beauty products, makeup, perfume, deodorant is one of the big one, even hair product. So we really try to clean without being like, oh, I can't wear anything anymore. But we try to clean everything we get from the outside world. The hormone from the meat, from the milk, from the butter and all these things. We try to clear the excess sugar, insulin, which is, of course, the sugar in the coffee, even the honey, even corn, things that we want to reduce the level of sugar we get, the level of hormones we get, and we want to increase antioxidant, to increase also what will help us clean the waste. And this would be seeds, very importantly, ground flax seeds that we find in Kenya also very easily, and in Europe, some of you are in Europe and in England. So having flax seeds, and we talk about seed cycling. We take special seeds, half of our cycle, and some other special seed on the other half. And if we don't have menstruation anymore, it's not a problem. We follow the pattern of the moon. So we take some before full moon, some after full moon. I have some handout on that we can also share and discuss later. And we want to have less from outside, less hormone from outside, and we want to clean it more. So everything that cleans it is your herbs, your parsley, your coriander, all your green vegetables, sukuma wiki, mchicha. I mean, there are so many incredible greens in every culture, and actually way more in Africa. Unfortunately, usually it's like the big ugali, and very little sukuma wiki, very little mchicha, very little of, even the bitter herbs are so good to clear the estrogen, to clear the waste, to clear toxins. It's not only estrogen, it's clearing everything and estrogen. And this is what is important, to have this balance, to support our hormones to balance. We can't lie down and sleep the whole day. We have to be awake during the day, but then we have to sleep extremely well, because it's only during our sleep that we actually clear and clean up the hormones. One more thing, if I may, on the fibroids side, we very often we manage to heal fibroid with what I've just said, but also with increasing iodine in the diet. So CMOS, iodized salt, not the bad salt, not the one with anti-caking agent, not the cheap white salt, where they add things in it that get stuck in the artery, but the very good iodized salt. We find it in Kenya. The baleine, the blue one that is at Carrefour, that is the French one, is actually not good because it has anti-caking agent. When I buy salt, I say you, we look at the bottle of salt and we see salt, iodine. If there is anti-caking agent, if there is E20, if there is flavoring, if there is colorant, these are endocrine disruptor because they're not food. The body has to clear them. It is not food. So for fibroids, these things, and usually increasing iodine is very important to clear the fibroids. And of course, Harriet, you have a really good mix.
Yes, as you mentioned, we have arrowroot, which is what we are prescribing to help you evacuate excess estrogen at a particular phase in your cycle. And we also have Mosip Chort now, which is to jumpstart your thyroid. And we're very keen to work with people like you because then they can explain the science behind it and which hormone we're working with and sort of the medical aspect, the allopathic aspect. We're big on working with allopathic practitioners and other health providers and nutritionists as well. So you're an ideal fit. What I wanted you to touch on again is, because you talk about the basic diet of people who love ugali, eat a large portion of ugali and very little vegetables. And there's people who say to me, I'm very healthy. I just eat ugali and mboga. And I've started saying, actually, maybe the portion of ugali it should be less and the portion of vegetables should be more. And maybe you can explain this yourself, because we do have a big fixation with unga and ugali. And sometimes we think, oh, the bad food is chapati and it's gluten and there's sugar. But what about what every single one of us is eating? And maybe when our grandparents were eating this portion of ugali, let's say in the recent 100 years, because before that we did not have it, my understanding is that that large portion that they eat would then be expended when they go to the farm. So our lifestyle has changed because we'd wake up and maybe have your potato or whatever, sweet potato, and then go to the farm, expend the energy. And you're spending the whole day walking up and down the farm, using your hands, lifting things. It's very unlikely that you'd be obese or overweight at any point. You're not sleeping all day, sleeping all night, getting into your car, driving, sitting the whole day with limited exercise. So please say a little bit more about the corn or the ugali, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also in the days, people were eating food, real food, even carrots and greens, real food. Now, on top of maybe being in the car, moving less, or moving too much, or being too stressed, we eat very fast, so we don't digest the food. And the other thing, there is a lot of additive in everything. The milk is not really milk anymore. I mean, lots of food that people buy, I'm not going to give names, but if you buy a pizza here, or if you buy a fried chicken somewhere, it's not real food. Most of it is actually not real food. So the body is not recognizing it like food. So it has to store it. And that's what becomes fat. And that's what becomes fibroids. Because the favorite way to store food for the body is in fat, is by producing and creating more fat. And usually when we do kind of weight loss program, we always treat every weight loss program as a detox program, because fat is holding hormones, is holding waste, is holding toxins. So all the toxins we get are stored in the form of fat, because the body is not crazy. It's not going to keep it in the blood. It's not going to keep it in the organs or in the liver. So it's got to get it somewhere. So same also to clear estrogen, what's very important is to never have constipation, to hydrate well. So all our pathways to clean up are very important. One thing I forgot on the estrogen is also the hormone replacement therapy or contraception. They are also hormonal, of course, so they add up on the buildup of hormones. For the corn, the ugali, so on nutrition, I wanted people to write it actually on the chat, if some of you can do that. What you think is inflammatory in life. So we said sugar, we say even honey. It doesn't mean we can't have honey. When we're sick, when we have a bad throat, of course we can have a bit of honey, but not a pot. It can be very medicinal. And what food supports us? It's a balanced food. So yes, ugali, corn, once a week. But corn every day, no. Greens every day, yes. And a variety of green. People say, yes, it's true, I have spinach every day. No, not spinach every day. We want to have a variety of food, a variety of vegetables. Bananas are good for you. Yes, they're high in sugar, but they're very good for you for many different reasons. They have also a lot of fibers. Yes, inflammatory includes sugar, yes. And the sugar is all these glycemic index. If you look at the glycemic index, which means a food you eat is going to raise your blood sugar level. Ugali, corn, has the same glycemic index as sugar, as honey, as maple syrup. Like a green vegetable will have a very low glycemic index. And we do have, to make you feel better, we do have some sugars that can help to lower, like coconut sugar that we find in Kenya and everywhere now. I think by memory, the glycemic index is only 38 compared to sugar, which is like 120. Corn is very high. And watch out for GMO. GMO are terrible on hormones. And I think it has just been accepted in Kenya. So now you're going to get some GMO food in Kenya. And that's why when people buy, I'm not, showing the flag of Europe here, but often when you buy oats, they say European origin, because America has GMO and now Kenya has GMO because, as import. So just watch it. GMO really not good for hormones. GMO disrupts the hormones, and it's also, they've seen that it really produces cancers. It's not a food. The body does not recognize it as a food. The molecules are all over the place. The body doesn't recognize it. And that's what creates body weight gain, fibroids, headache, depression. I mean, the body gets very depressed. Our microbiome, our bacteria, they don't recognize the food. They don't know what to do with it. They fight it. There is a lot of waste. So, yes. So all these inflammatory, it doesn't mean, I'm not saying don't eat corn ever, don't eat ugali ever, but check your ugali. Where does it come from? Watch if there is some GMO now. Is it clean? Is it full of dust? Has it been dried well? Some of you might have heard of aflatoxin, especially if you have dogs. Aflatoxin is, it happens in every food, but it's when it's not dried yet well. So let's say we take the corn, it dries? Maybe not, because now it rains when it shouldn't rain. It has to dry, and it has to be ground in a flour and kept in silo where it's really dry. And in very modern country, they have systems to keep it very dry. If it stays wet, it builds up aflatoxin, which is very dangerous. It's very inflammatory, and it's basically dust. So I see, and honestly, I don't see it when I'm in Europe or something. And like, if you buy cashew nuts or rice in Kenya, wash it 10 times until the water is clear, because otherwise the rice is full of dust. And this is also inflammatory, because we're not supposed to eat dust. So buy rice, wash it. Buy your korosho, your cashew nuts, wash them until the water is clear. It's very important as well to remove the mold.
So inflammatory, just tell me, what is the meaning of this word inflammatory? And maybe talk about what is inflammation in the gut, inflammation in the tummy, inflammation in the uterus, inflammation. What does it really all mean? Because we've been using this word a lot, but I think more people need to understand what it is.
Okay, cool. So inflammatory nowadays, and it is really true, we say that every disease has an inflammatory cause. When you think of a headache, it's inflammatory. It means it's a growth, it's pushing. So people who have leaky gut now, all the autoimmune disease, is because we eat food that provokes growth, that disturbs our microbiome, our bacteria. So they fight a lot, and they go bigger. Everything goes bigger and bigger and bigger. When you hurt yourself, you get red. Normally, like say you hurt your shoulder, it would turn red. Your immune system is reacting, which is very good. But if it keeps on reacting, it's staying red, and then it's really hurting, and then it's getting bigger, and then it's becoming hot. So things that are very heating are inflammatory. Let's say I go to the gym, which I don't so much, and I push really heavy weights. It's inflammatory, but it is acute. I do it purposely to break my muscle, to, it's like when you have children, you want them to go to school, they take an exam, they're very stressed, but they don't take an exam the whole day, every day. Otherwise, they're just not going to sleep anymore. They're going to be highly stressed. So we can have inflammation, but they have to be acute. They should not be chronic. So we can have things that create inflammation, but then we should clear them. We should stop the growth. We should stop the heat. We should be able to regulate our immune system. Many people now have headache every day, bloating every day. Bloating, sometimes it's okay. We travel, there is a parasite, there is a food maybe that has dust, is not working very well. But it should not be all the time, because when we are always inflamed, our immune system is always reacting. It's always on and on and on and on. It never turns off. So we have to have ways to turn it off. So it can be breathing, meditation, relaxing, laughing, having a nice night out. Alcohol, of course, sugar in alcohol can be inflammatory, but sometimes you go out and you have a few drinks with your girlfriends or with your friends, and then you feel good. So you have to choose when you feel you're like constantly too much. Inflammatory is always too much sugar, too much growth, too much doing, not enough restorative, not enough sleeping, not enough joy, not enough good vibration. because it's not only the nutrition. We call it a circle of life. And in the circle of life, there is spirituality, there is, of course, exercise, nutrition, but there is relationship, there is work, there is finances. Let's say my finances are not stable. I never know what I'm going to eat in the evening. I'm always worried. This is very inflammatory because I'm worried. So my immune system is going to try to clear the thoughts. Inflammatory also comes from things getting stuck, waste getting stuck. I mean, the whole day we, get waste from water we drink, from, even breathing, from going outside, from walking, from touching anything. Our immune system is always helping us and reacting, but we don't want it to overreact.
Okay. Well, that's really, so maybe we can go the other perspective. So because we have, when there's estrogen dominance, then we have the conditions like polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is now a whole new ball game. And it's another disease or ailment that is chronic, endemic. It's unbelievable how many people come and say, I have PCOS, I have PCOS. Yeah. And I'm always asking myself, why the increase? Or why does it seem to me there's more people experiencing polycystic ovarian syndrome? So maybe you can speak a little bit more about that, what causes it, how it manifests, and maybe an anti-inflammatory diet that supports PCOS.
Okay. So PCOS, yes, it's a polycystic, it's a cyst on the ovaries. So it's the same that happens for men and women. So for the men out there, it's actually very linked to what we just discussed. So in the most simple form, it's when there is an excess of insulin, which comes from an excess sugar. Sugar is not only, your ugali and your sugar and your honey, but the high blood sugar can just be stress. You go to work every day, you're not happy, you don't like the people you work with, you're worried on your finances, at home is not very nice with your family, or you always have stress. You eat sukuma wiki every day, your blood sugar will still be high because you are very stressed. And stress, that's where it gets a bit more complicated. It can also be a virus. You caught a virus, you don't know what it is, or you have a big parasite or worms. That also creates stress in the body that all by itself raises blood sugar. When blood sugar raises, the insulin has to come to get the sugar out of the bloodstream. And for men and women, this is what happens for PCOS, for estrogen dominance, for prostate enlargement. So for women, when women have a high level of insulin, and that's what happens with the polycystic ovary cyst, the PCOS, when women have a high level of insulin, it gets turned into testosterone. The very strong testosterone, which is called DHT, you don't have to remember that, but there are different levels of estrogen, 3 different estrogen, a weaker one, a very strong one, and a balanced one. For testosterone, we have 2 different ones. There is the good testosterone. Women also have testosterone. Men, of course, want testosterone. But there's this DHT testosterone, which is the one that women get from having too much insulin in their life. Do remember, please, that it's not only the food. It's also what you do, what you think, what you do, too much exercise or too much work. So when our insulin level rises, goes high, for women, we start producing too much of this very strong testosterone, DHT. And for women, one of the first, and you can, check your daughter or people in your family, it's acne. We see at the gym some people who exercise a lot, they have a lot of acne. So that's DHT testosterone, is this high stress, high insulin. Facial hair, even sometimes hair on the back, and losing the hair. So women who lose their hair, thinning of hair, losing their hair, that have acne, that have facial hair, it's a sign of high DHT, and that comes very simply from high level of insulin. So when we say hormones, it's a soup dance. They all dance together. So my sugar goes up, my insulin goes up to try to clear it. Then it produces on women more DHT. So suddenly, on a woman, my testosterone is higher. It's a sex hormone. What are the other sex hormone going to do? Very often, PCOS is a high DHT, this strong testosterone, the one that makes us lose hair and get more facial hair. And it's also at the same time, estrogen stays up and progesterone goes down because the ovaries get a cyst from this high insulin and inflammation. So then there is no progesterone being produced by the ovaries. So now we have a high testosterone, DHT, not the good testosterone, the bad one. And we have a higher level of estrogen compared to our nice, cozy progesterone. So it's high insulin. On men, high insulin turns into estrogen. So we see men, sorry, I can't see you, who drink, let's say, lots of beer, lots of alcohol, lots of sugar, lots of burgers, lots of stress. They start growing this very fatty belly. They get more fat. They get more, they look more feminine, and they get depressed, moody, because they lose their testosterone and their estrogen goes up. So for women, high insulin, high sugar, high stress turns into more DHT testosterone and then lower progesterone. For men, unfortunately, it's the other way around. They get more estrogen. So you see the man
boobs.
We call it, they get the moobs. They get like, yes, exactly. Yeah. So see them around, be like, oh. And it can just be alcohol. It can be stress. It can be worry, depression. It can be a divorce. It can be a sickness. So that's what we work on, like, what is the root cause? What is it really? And it's never one thing. It's always, so we work on lifestyle, on nutrition first, on sleep first. How is the sleep? Usually not very good. So it does take a little bit of time. The nutrition is it's probably the easiest aspect of it. But people that clean up but still drink a bottle of red wine at
But that's
night,
not going to work.
it cannot work. No. I mean, maybe vodka or something, but then, we have things we work on. But so this sex hormone imbalance is really that. It's high insulin that turns into estrogen on men, DHT on women. And so we want to clear it. So that's when we do seed cycling, these ground flax seeds. We even do some, quite a lot of functional and lifestyle changes. We increase anti-inflammatory food. We increase fibers because fibers would pull that out. And then, we try to really decrease the stress.
Okay, so I just touch a little bit on the prostate. I think you mentioned it, and I wasn't very clear about this high estrogen, whether that's what's affecting the men on the prostate side as well. Please tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes. So for men, the prostate is the enlargement of the prostate. It's okay. So it comes from this high insulin that turns into estrogen. But for men, very often, and if you want to help your husband, one thing they should take every day is zinc. Because zinc allows to keep a very good level of good testosterone. So zinc is extremely important for men, but we have very specific type of zinc. It's called zinc picolinate. If you're going to supplement, please maybe get in touch with me or with Harriet. It has to be clean supplement without anti-caking, without binders, the good one, not with strange things inside, no tablets. We like capsules or liquid. And zinc is called zinc picolinate, is the one that helps men to keep this good level of testosterone. Maca powder, Mondia white can help. I know you have it
yes.
in your, yes, exactly. Yeah. So that's what helps. And zinc is like the key for prostate for men. There are many other things, but it's lifestyle, reducing the stress, the sugar level, the insulin, and taking zinc supplement is something that every man should do from 50 years old.
Okay. So what then? Sorry.
Yeah.
But what then tends to happen?
Yes,
like, okay. Sorry, can you hear me? Yes, I was just, so what changes it from a benign growth in the prostate to something more cancerous? Because people come and say to us, yes, I have prostate inflammation. I don't wee very well. I used to be able to wee, when I wee, that it used to be long or it used to go far. I wake up a lot of times at night. I'm very thirsty. So they come and they say, okay, I've got this hyperplasia, or it's benign. then at some point somebody will come and say, oh no, I'm now at stage 1 or stage 2 of prostate cancer. So we are trying very hard not to get there. So what is this progression? I always thought it was like minerals or, environmental toxins that are getting stuck in there. And when you're not dealing with them, now they become cancerous.
Yeah. So, I mean, the first thing to do when there is already an enlargement, it's like cyst, it's like fibroids, is to adopt a low glycemic diet. So reducing the sugar load, having more vegetable, reducing the alcohol, even the coffee, things like that. What turns into cancer, and cancers, we know what they are. It's 10% genetic, 10%. The rest is lifestyle. And a cancer is basically a cell, a damaged cell that reproduces itself. So normally when our cells are damaged, we have them, we can see them there, the hair, when a cell is damaged, it should either get repaired by his friends or get eaten. That's what the macrophage do, these autophage, macrophage, they eat it. Or there is something called lipolysis, or they should die. So they should either get repaired or get eaten or die. And a cancer cell is a damaged cell that doesn't die, that reproduces itself. So it takes time. A cancer can take 10 years. So it can be benign. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. A cancer is not like, oh, what did I do last month? It's never that. So it can be a trigger in life. Let's say you lose someone you love, or a divorce, or you have an accident. It can provoke it. It can make it come faster. But it's a progression of 10 years. 10 years of a high glycemic diet, and 10 years of having lots of waste in food that we don't clean up. So a cancer is a cell that is damaged, that reproduces itself. So normally when it's damaged, we want to be able to so it's very important to have a very good immune system to kill these cells, or if possible to rebuild that cell. Very important to have a good immune system. And again, on that, zinc is key, vitamin D is key. So vitamin D is, of course, from the sun, but also from fatty fish and seaweed. Seaweed also have iodine. So it's very important when someone says, oh yeah, no, it's nothing, or it's just a little cyst, to realize, okay, glycemic index, diet going lower, and how can I help my cells to rebuild themselves? Good probiotic, good microbiome, good balanced life. So how do I repair the cells? Not with sugar. Also cancer, sugar or stress, now we know, makes everything grow. So this inflammation, the cancer, it makes it grow. So when we have already an enlarged prostate or a headache, if you have a headache and you have coffee and sugar, it's not going to get better. If you have a headache and you take magnesium, electrolytes, I'm very big on electrolytes now. They clear your tummy so well. They're incredible. We could maybe develop one in Kenya. Electrolytes are just brilliant. You rehydrate. If you have a headache, 90% of the time is dehydration. 90% of the time. So we rehydrate, we take magnesium, we even lie down in an Epsom salt bath. Some people don't have a bath. We take a foot bath with Epsom salt. So we have many things to do to help to clear up things.
Okay, that's incredible. Okay, so we've spoken about prostate, we've spoken about PCOS and estrogen with women, fibroids. Maybe we can touch on the thyroid, because then you said you're going to speak a little bit more about that and how that works and how an ailment related to the thyroid manifests itself. It's something people keep talking about, but I don't think we know enough. As lay people, I don't think we know enough of how it works.
Yeah, because it's quite complicated, the thyroid. There is something we say, and it's a bit of a shortcut, is when the thyroid has an issue, the entire body has an issue. Because the thyroid also dealing with your metabolism, with your repair. If you're constipated, thyroid not good. If you put on weight, unexplained weight, we think thyroid. But ultimately, for me, I prefer to think that, I don't know if you've heard of mitochondria. It's our little factories of energy. So they work with glucose, but they work better with lipid, good fats. So they produce, I think, maybe 34 more what we call ATP, which is energy, from lipid than from fat. So we want to, from lipids, sorry, than from glucose, from sugar. So whatever sugar I have, I want it to be used, especially for by my brain. And the rest, I want the production to be done in the mitochondria. And everything that feeds the thyroid, another thing very important for the thyroid, what are the thyroid hormones made of? It's called TSH, and there is a T43. It's made of tyrosine, which is an amino acid. So meat, fish, but also legumes. We had said we would discuss that. Proteins, people think, oh, I've got to eat beef every day. Or no, but you can, beef once a week, eggs once a week, a good fish once a week. If you don't find clean fish, no fish. If you don't find clean beef, no beef. Maybe go for the mbuzi, a nice goat. Mbuzi Munch is a really nice restaurant actually in Kenya that has very clean goat. You go for that, but proteins are also in the plant world. Hemp seeds, chia seeds are, if you eat one plant-based protein every day, have chia seeds. They would clean up your hormones, they would clean up your waste, and they're full amino acid. They would cover all you need of amino acid. Of course, legumes, nuts and seeds are very rich in protein, and they're very clean, so they don't produce so much waste. So thyroid hormone is made of tyrosine, an amino acid. You can Google tyrosine food, and of iodine. And that's the problem we have these days. We don't have enough iodine in our water. We have a lot of fluoride. We go to the dentist, they make the teeth clean, white with fluoride. We brush our teeth with fluoride. We have too much fluoride, and the fluoride blocks the pineal gland and blocks the iodine. Something we actually didn't touch on, if we have time. We have, when we spoke about the hormones, we have a hormonal axis, and that also links us to the thyroid. We call it HPTAG axis. I have a handout. I'll actually post it on Instagram. If you follow me on Instagram, I'll post it today. I'll post this first handout on Instagram today. And you will see the HPTAG axis is hypothalamus in your brain, pituitary. So the hormone dance, the signal of the hormones, produce more, make more, give me more, go here, go there, wow, there. The signal comes from the brain. The brain is the master. The body sends the message, says, oh, I don't have enough, please make more. That is what is your TSH. When you go to when we do blood tests, you have for hormones, the first one they do is the TSH, is the thyroid stimulating hormone. It means the body, it's like a loop feedback system. The body says, I don't have enough, I'm very tired, I put on weight, I don't have enough. So the body sends a signal to the brain to say, make more. And the brain, the TSH, so the HP, hypothalamus, then pituitary, tells the thyroid, that's our T, HPT, tells the thyroid, make more, the body is tired, doesn't have enough. And then your TSH goes high, and that's when we know, the body is struggling, it's not having enough.
Okay.
But maybe it's not. So you have to think of your brain, HP, the beginning, the hormone signal comes from the brain. Then the thyroid, then your adrenal, that's what we look after our hydration, our stress, because our adrenal, they produce DHEA, they produce hormones, they produce cortisol, aldosterone, endorphin. So if I'm always on the go, like now, I'm not going to produce sex hormones when I'm like this, because our adrenal can only do one thing at a time. It's like, okay, I'm giving you cortisol. When you run, I'm giving you endorphin. You feel excited. You go dance. That's your endorphin. You're with your girlfriend. Wow, 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 wow. That's not going to produce sex hormones, because we're producing either the sex hormones or the agitating hormones like endorphin, adrenaline, cortisol.
Okay, so that nicely comes to, so fertility and infertility. So what you're saying is our lifestyle, the fact that we are so stressed, we're always on the go, we're on the matatu, we're on the boda, we're going to work, we're rushing to pay school fees, we don't have the money, we're stressed, we're fighting with our mates or our husbands, we don't have community, we're just all over the place, we have to meet this obligation and that obligation, and then we're now eating food that is not very good for us. It's grown in funny circumstances. It has pesticides that should not be in it, like Roundup, what you're calling glyphosate. I think it's over here, it's called Roundup. And there's Roundup in this, there's Roundup in the tea,
Yes.
there's Roundup in the maize. Everything has contributed to this condition that we find ourselves in. And all we can do is take responsibility as individuals and start to clean our diet, reduce the sugar, reduce large portions of ugali or rice or potatoes, exercise more, but at the same time, not to overdo it. Now we're going exercising, running, hiking, jumping, swimming. Oh, I'm a champion. We want to move away from that now and think about the fact that even in as much as you do your spin class in the morning, or maybe you're like into your running in the morning, it wakes you up so you go to the office feeling good with all the endorphins. That won't make you fertile. When you're on that high, even though you feel good, you in a sense cannot get pregnant. That is what you are saying to us. So we should be able to say, in the morning we do something that takes us up, but in the evening we must remember to relax a little bit, breathe and meditate and bring ourselves back to this more relaxed state so our body can do other things. It can't do everything at the same time. We can't have it all. So I think that that's such a great presentation. I haven't seen any questions. I just saw a couple of comments, people saying that they really understand PCOS better. I'm letting our audience know that if they have any more questions, just post them on the chat or follow either of us and we will give them back the information. Please just repeat very, very quickly for me. Where can you be found or how can people connect with you? Do you want to give out a telephone number or a website or anything like that? And I will reiterate that you can follow Oriane on Instagram, just the same way you found this live, and get all the information you need, and definitely connect with her for maybe a consultation that could take you a step further. At Harriet Botanicals, we're encouraging people to do more than just take arrowroot, more than just take more sleep short, like exercise a little bit more or sleep better, check on your sleep patterns, eliminate stress, look around for environmental toxins, and do whatever it is that you can in your microcosm, in your small world, to make things better for you. So somebody has posted, I hope you will post this for us to rewatch. And yes, we do save this and then we actually put it on our YouTube channel. And this remains, I think, on Instagram for a while. Immediately after this, it'll actually be played as a post. So I've seen that you've put your telephone number. If there's anything else you'd like to add, maybe like a last word, Oriane?
One thing, so I'm also specialized in blood test readings. So if you're interested, because it can be really nice to have some clear numbers of what's happening inside, I advise which blood test, which lab test to do. They're usually covered by an insurance, and it's very simple test that can be done anywhere. And then from this test, you can find if you have inflammation, if you have a lot of stress, high blood sugar, if you have very high oxidants compared to your antioxidants. So we usually check the vitamin D, we check the vitamin B12, we check the red blood count, the immune system. So, and then I analyze it in a functional way, not just red or green. We look at what the body is doing, where it's going, and then we explain what can be the risk, what are the lack, and then we try to find what we can do if there is, enough cholesterol or not enough. So blood tests can also be a really nice aspect of the functional medicine if you want to follow up on that.
Thank you so much. I mean, my takeaway from this is I should eat more greens. I should reduce my portions of carbs. And when I eat greens, I don't eat sukuma wiki or spinach every single day and say I've had my greens. I vary. I go for michicha. I go for your saga. I go for your managu. And greens are readily available and they're not expensive. And just to vary my diet in any way that I can think that will improve, reduce inflammation in all parts of the body, and to look for opportunities to slow down a little bit and not to think that this go is actually a form of winning. And at Harris Botanicals, we're very keen now that we've seen our parents and our grandparents go through lifestyle diseases that we didn't know about so much before, like your cancers, your high blood pressure, your diabetes, your Alzheimer's, your dementia. we are actually telling people, let's be more proactive about our health. You know, adopt wellness as a lifestyle. Think about every single thing you can do right now when you have the time and a bit of, you still are in your working years, you have a bit of money. Invest in things like this, you know, in a functional practitioner taking you through your blood test, you know, through your hormonal profile, and looking at elements of your life that you can improve. Then you can save more money or save yourself a lot of pain later. That is what I'd like to say to everybody. But thank you so much. I hope we do another one of these. I found it very informative for myself as well. And I think everybody else as well who's been on this live with us, and who will look at this information later. Thank you so much. Okay? Excellent.
Brilliant.
Okay, bye-bye.
So much, Harriet. Thank you.
End the live.